This is the Farm Monitor. For over 50 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by one of the largest general farm organizations, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Bergamy.
All right, come on in, relax. Welcome to the Farm Monitor. That spot, of course, usually occupied by Kenny B, but like the rest of the country, we are also doing the social distancing thing. So with that said, Kenny now joining us from the comforts of his own office with something we like to call the show lineup. High five from afar, Kenny.
Yeah, Ray, right back at you. Obviously, the novel coronavirus playing a major role in the day-to-day operations of Georgia agriculture. Now, coming up, we hear from owners of two of the larger certified farm markets in Georgia, JAEMOR Farm and Southern Belle Farm in Henry County, the ways in which the virus has changed their business model and why they both say this too shall pass. Also on the program, no social gatherings, not a problem for this local FFA chapter. Thanks to the quick thinking and teamwork, their annual plant sale was a successful one. Plus, it's that time of year again. Vidalia onions are now shipping out around the country. So what effects, if any, will the virus have on this year's crop? These stories and so much more start right now on the Farm Monitor.
All right, Kenny, we'll see you in a few. COVID-19, aka coronavirus. It's in every state and affecting pretty much every single industry. It does not discriminate. Agriculture, in particular, has been hit extremely hard. With schools closed and restaurants limited to takeout, both the dairy and beef industry have endured catastrophic losses. And then, of course, you have your certified farm markets. Thanks to a statewide shelter in place, those cash drawers are also seeing less green. But if there's one thing we know about farmers, it's that they possess resilience. No matter what, their glass always half full. Recently, I spoke with two market owners who feel that despite the current state of our country, there is hope on the horizon.
Whether or not it's permanent or just a temporary change in lifestyle, this much we know. Agriculture has a new look. Once busy highways in front of roadside markets, now visibly less congested. Human interaction and emotion, including those trademark smiles when greeting customers, now hidden behind masks. And as he walks his fields at JAEMOR Farm in Alto, Drew Eccles can't help but wonder, what do I do next?
This is different. This is the first time something like this has happened. I mean, listen, I'm 40 years old. I've seen freezes. I've seen freezes decimate this peach crop. I've seen freezes punch me in the mouth in the strawberry business, and too much rain and not enough rain. And I've heard my granddad and other farmers talk about things that trials that they've been through over the years. This is the first time this has ever happened. That's why you hit that's why you hit the panic button. This is just new. It's new to everybody, and I just hope and pray it's not the new norm.
And rest assured, Drew isn't alone in his thinking. Whether it's a bigger operation like JAEMOR or something as simple as a roadside produce stand, business owners, like the larger supermarkets, want to provide a service. But exceptions and sacrifices have to be made.
What we've done a few weeks ago, we actually shut down our pie kitchen, took all the tables and chairs out of that into the store. So no pies, no ice cream, unfortunately. Then, as this virus progressed and things started to worsen, the employees are in gloves, the employees are in masks, wiping down, just constant wiping down of door handles, of shopping carts, of those type things. I want the public, I want them to feel safe at JAEMOR right now, just like they do when there's no virus. So, we're trying. We're doing the best we can, doing the best we know how to do.
Here at Southern Belle Farm in Henry County, business relies heavily on local school groups. Right now, if school was in session, this parking lot would be filled with buses. Kids would be playing on the attractions, maybe out in the fields picking strawberries. But COVID-19 changed all that, and that had Southern Belle owner Jake Carter extremely nervous. But then came a glimmer of hope in the form of a first responder, and not just any first responder.
At a small family gathering, I began having a conversation with my sister, who's one of the strongest and most hardest working individuals, both mentally and physically. She's a nurse, and I could just see the emotion in her face as tears rolled down her face, that she was anxious about having to go into work the next day, knowing that she would be right there on the front line. And then that's when Tony Carter, a partner with Pretoria Fields, stepped up and is going to partner with us to harvest the additional strawberries that we're going to grow this year. And the opportunity is, as we've all been blessed here at Southern Belle and Tony and Pretoria Fields, we've all been blessed. This is a way for us to bless the community, and we thought what better way to do that than to give these strawberries away to people that are on the front lines, people just like my sister that are feeling anxious about working.
You know, when Jake suggested to me that we give the strawberries to frontline workers, it was kind of like it was an automatic yes. And it's just that overwhelming that, hey, we're another person doing a little bit more than we can, and that normally we wouldn't do. And that's, you know, I hope we continue doing that in the future.
One of our concepts is this idea of a collective, meaning that we all work together to tend the ground to make to then make products from those things. And we do that with our beer. We contract with several other farmers around there. So how could we help in Tony's region up here in McDonough? And that's how this idea with the strawberries came about.
And let us not forget that strawberries are the first fruits of spring. Perhaps, as Jake put it, a means to once again provide some sort of normalcy, the taste and feel of what spring should be.
Just grateful, because those are the real heroes, the people on the front line. You know, those, in my opinion, people like my sister, who is my hero. Those are the people that we want to give back to.
Me, along with all the other farmers in the state of Georgia, we would love to press pause on this spring, on this growing season. Unfortunately, that's not possible. The grass is going to keep on growing. Strawberries are going to continue to get ripe. Peaches are going to keep growing. So all of those things that have to be done in order to bring those crops in, they have to keep going until showtime. So the show must go on.
For the Farm Monitor, I'm Ray DeLessio.
All right, Ray, great story. Meantime, in other ag news, farmers and ranchers will have several aid programs available to help them through the COVID-19 pandemic, including programs under development by the Department of Agriculture and the Small Business Administration. American Farm Bureau Federation economist Veronica Nye says the CARES Act included funding specifically for agriculture. She points out that farmers are not eligible for the SBA Emergency Disaster Loan Program, but they can apply for assistance through the Paycheck Protection Program.
This allows farmers and small businesses to be able to pay employees for an 8-week period during a range between February 15th and June 30th. So if you're a business with 500 employees or fewer, you're eligible for that program. If you go to sba.gov, you can find the local assistance location near you. It's important to know that the Paycheck Protection Program, you don't apply through SBA specifically. You actually apply through local approved lenders. But SBA is providing a lot of guidance on their website where you can get more information. And they also provide a list of approved local lenders.
Well, you heard Drew Eccles say it. The show must go on, and that includes the annual FFA plant sale. After the break, how one local chapter made it happen.
Hello again, I'm Sonny Perdue, and for all you producers on the front line out there, again, farmers, ranchers, American Farm Bureau Federation, National Farmers Union, all your trade associations, you know there's a lot more uncertainty in the market this spring than there ever has been before, but I want to thank you for being the patriots that you are and continue to do what you do. That's put the seed in the ground and grow our food, and I want to thank you. You know, President Trump recognizes you as the backbone of the spirit of America that's grown this great country, and you're doing it again today in this national emergency. I couldn't be prouder of you. I couldn't be prouder to be called a farmer and be part of your fraternity that gets the job done just like you do day in and day out. So keep it up. Stay by the stuff. I want you to know we've got your backs, and we're going to try to watch out for you to make sure you're all protected in any kind of thing that comes along in the future. You know, it's been once been said, if you're eating it, wearing it, or stepping on it, a trucker brought it to you. And it couldn't be true, more true than today, because the logistics part of our supply chain is also critical in getting the food that's been grown and processed and packaged to where the customer can buy it. And I just want to thank you guys for not trying to take advantage of any of this, but continue to work and deliver that food and just get it to our people. So you're a vital part, an essential part of our workforce in a very critical infrastructure, and you're doing a great job. Once again, I want to thank you. America thanks you, and I thank you as well.
All right, welcome back. In case you missed it, the Georgia Farm Recovery Block Grant application deadline has been extended to April 30th. Georgia Ag Commissioner Gary Black saying his department recognizes that normal business operations were altered or disrupted by the virus pandemic. Of course, only Georgia farmers and forest landowners in eligible counties who suffered losses during Hurricane Michael are eligible to apply. For more information, go to farmrecovery.com. Well, every spring, FFA chapters across the state gear up for their annual plant sales, but this year, things didn't go quite as expected due to schools being shut down as a result of the virus. John Holcomb joins us now remotely. He's going to share with us how one local chapter managed to let the sales go on. Hey, John.
Well, bottom line, these plant sales are huge fundraisers for FFA chapters all across the state, which is why they had to think quickly on their feet and get creative in order to make sure they could get the plants out the door. All across the great state of Georgia, high school greenhouses look a lot like this, full of beautiful plants and flowers that are ready to go to their new homes. These sales are a big moneymaker for FFA programs and usually help them pay for things they do throughout the year.
One of the reasons we have a plant sale is this is one of our largest fundraisers that we hold to raise funds for us to use throughout the year. A lot of the funds are used to purchase FFA jackets for members, to fund some of the field trips, and then also to fund the meetings that we have once a month. So all the money just kind of goes back into the program just to kind of help our students with activities and things like that.
Almost without any notice, though, schools were closed due to COVID-19. Leaving greenhouses full of plants. But thanks to some creative thinking, FFA chapters all over the state decided to turn to technology and sell them online.
As you can tell, we have a lot of money invested in this greenhouse, and like I said, this being the biggest fundraiser, we had to figure out a way to get our items sold to raise the money that we were going to use this upcoming year. So typically, we would have our plant sale right outside the greenhouse, and we display all of our plants, and people would come in, they could purchase. We'd had different kind of payment methods for them, but with the rules set forward and things like that, we had to come up with a way to sell the plants, and kind of doing a little bit of research and seeing what other FFA chapters were doing across the state. We came up with the program that we use now, kind of like an online format. It's kind of like Amazon. You see the picture of the plant, you have a description, you have the quantity, and then what it costs, and people can just go in there, select the quantity of each plant that they want. It loads it up to their cart, and at the end they can pay with whatever payment method they would like. And it kind of gives them a chance to browse, but with, of course, keeping the social distancing, and then they can still select what they want and then get it for their yards and whatnot.
They even came up with a creative way for people to get their flowers after they order them that aligns with social distancing guidelines.
Me and my principal, Ms. Palmer, we kind of talked up a plan and kind of came up with like a drive-through scenario where people could line up in their cars and we would load up their products, and then they would just pay us through their car window. We do allow for one individual to come out of their car to kind of help load if it's a really big order, but for the most part, even our customers are very respectful of that distance, and so they'll hand their check or their cash, at a pretty safe distance.
Aside from being a great fundraiser, these sales are also a great learning experience for the students, as they get to see both sides of the horticulture industry.
Our whole program here in horticulture is for students to kind of learn kind of the way that a greenhouse runs, be able to grow different plants in different environments. And so, we give them the opportunity, to, again, for a lot of hands-on and for them to learn about the plants and how they grow. And then again with this, they kind of learn the sales part of the greenhouse program or the horticulture production. And so they interact. Usually they interact with customers. They collect the money from them. They help customers load them up, and a lot of that is just customer interaction. And I think that's super important.
Reporting in commerce for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
All right, John, thanks so much. Kenny Burgamy back with you. And if you're just joining us, like Mr. Holcomb there, we're also trying to abide by the social distancing guidelines. Between the record amount of rainfall during growing season and the coronavirus outbreak, it's been a uniquely challenging season for Vidalia onion growers. Damon Jones joins us remotely on how this year's crop looks, as well as some of the major concerns facing producers. Damon?
Well, perhaps no vegetable is more synonymous with the state of Georgia than the Vidalia onion. And you can now find them at your local grocery store, as the packing date has officially come and gone. However, getting them from the field to the consumers was anything but easy this season.
I think some of the characteristics that'll tell the story about this year is just the amount of rain we've seen over the fall and winter months. Had a record amount of rainfall, which is always a challenge to Vidalia sweet onions. Ever since we transplanted these onions in November and December, they've sat in wet dirt. So, just bacteria, any kind of disease problems you tend to see when you have unusually wet years, and this year is no different. And anytime that onion has an overabundance of water, it gets stressed.
The poor growing conditions isn't the only concern for growers, as the COVID-19 pandemic has forced our borders to shut down, which caused a major problem with the harvesting of the crop.
Our biggest concern is getting our labor, our H2A labor. That's always a concern. This year we've got a heightened level of concern, and then obviously with the COVID-19, it just throws a lot of unknowns into the situation. It does look like the federal government is working with us, the state government is working with us. We've got to take all those things in consideration, and we're going to have a lot of new process and procedures of how we go about harvesting this crop, packing this crop, and getting it to market this year. And I think for a lot of us Vidalia onion growers, there's just a lot of unknown.
Fortunately, it's a problem the government is very well aware of, as they're working tirelessly on both the state and national level to ensure the proper amount of workforce.
It's H2A is a government-provided program, and our government has identified Vidalia onions and growers and packers as an essential business. We're in the food chain, and so they've really gone to extra lengths. The federal government and the state government, our U.S. Congress people, have gone to extra lengths to be sure that we have access to our workers.
Despite the many obstacles, this year's crop looks to be another solid one if the growers can avoid any more setbacks.
We want normal temperatures and dry weather, no rain if we could order it up. But, we have irrigation systems here in southeast Georgia. From March the 1st on, we like to water them ourselves, so to speak. And Vidalia onion likes dry, dusty conditions during harvest. And, hopefully that's, what we get.
Even though 2020 has brought a number of unexpected challenges for producers, it still doesn't dampen their enthusiasm to produce one of Georgia's signature crops.
My brother and I have been in this business since we were young, and obviously we're second generation grower packers. And it signifies spring to us. This time of year we see the azaleas blooming, we see the Vidalia onions starting to bulb, and when we start harvesting Vidalia onions this springtime in South Georgia.
Reporting from Tattnall County, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
All right, Damon, thanks so much. And folks, we threw a lot of information at you today, but don't worry. If you need to see it again or if you missed any part of the show, you can still see it in its entirety at our YouTube channel, The Farm Monitor. As far as the story archive, plenty of stuff to choose from. In fact, it goes back to 2009. And while you're there, keep clicking and like the Farm Monitor Facebook page. Also, send us some feedback if you have a story idea or if you want to leave us a comment or suggestion. Send us a message either on Facebook or the address on your screen. That is news@farm-monitor.com. When we come back, an important message from Georgia Ports Authority Director Griff Lynch.
Hey folks, my name is Griff Lynch and I'm the Executive Director for the Georgia Ports Authority. I'm coming to you right now from our Garden City terminal, actually a very special place. It's probably the oldest place on this facility. The tree behind me took root in 1649 or thereabouts, so we estimate that it's over 370 years old. And I think this is an important time to think about our history. These trees, if they could talk, they have seen a lot of things. They've seen a lot of storms, both figuratively and literally. And no one would deny that we're in one of those storms right now. But we're going to work through this together. I first want to thank all of the GPA employees and the many stakeholders of the port that are helping us stay operational through this time. The ILA, the International Longshoremen, the trucking community, the warehousemen, and the distribution facilities, our pilots, and the folks that bring our ships to us, all of the ocean carriers that call here every week, in and out, 37 ships a week. Look, these are tough times that we're going through, and I know that the federal government is giving us the best instructions they know how, and now Governor Kemp has just called for a shelter in place, rightfully so. And I just want to say that we are a critical part of the workforce, so we are deemed essential, and the Georgia Ports Authority will stay open, and we appreciate everybody's support. And we want our customers to know that we are moving your cargo as quickly and expeditiously as we possibly can. And we want to thank you for all the support you've given to the state of Georgia and the Georgia ports. We know that your goods are critical and that we are buying those goods to sustain our families. Customers like the many medical supply companies that come to Georgia, but also the folks like Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Target, Amazon, Family Dollar, Dollar General, and Dollar Tree. And these are just a list of the 25,000 customers that call the port every day. So in closing, I want to thank President Trump and his task force for the great work that they're doing. I also want to send a special thanks to Governor Kemp and his team. Your leadership has been fantastic and well received here. And I'm here to tell you that Georgia Ports is in business. We are here to serve our customers, and I thank the entire community for what you're doing. And finally, this is not just a Georgia issue, it's not just a United States issue. We have friends all throughout the world that support our ports, and we are praying for you daily. And we just want you to know that you're in our thoughts and prayers. So I ask everybody to be safe and have a wonderful day.
Well said, and unfortunately, that's going to do it for this week's edition of the Farm Monitor. Kenny, we will send it back over to you and let you take it from here.
Hey, thanks, Ray, and as always, a big thank you to you for watching the program. And just a friendly reminder that for all the latest ag info regarding food, great recipes, and what's happening down on the farm, be sure you check out our Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest pages. You'll stay informed and see what's up in the world of farming and with us here on the show. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week on the Farm Monitor. Be safe.